Good morning and welcome to our Coffee with Ferries. We delve into sustainable transport today with Mikael Guldman-Petersen, CEO of Scandlines. Good morning, Mikael, and great to have you here at our studio at Kongens Nytorv in Copenhagen. Morning.
Good morning.
Scandlines is a modern, innovative ferry operator with a green vision for the future. Scandlines operates 2 ferry routes with high capacity and frequency. With 39,000 departures on 7 ferries, Scandlines in 2023 transported close to 6.4 million passengers, over 1.6 million cars, and over 700,000 freight units on the routes Puttgarden-Rødby and Rostock-Gelser. As a leader in the maritime industry, Scandlines has distinguished itself by committing to sustainable ferry operations. They have significantly reduced CO2 emissions through the adoption of hybrid technology, positioning themselves as pioneers in the shift towards greener maritime solutions. Michael, it's a pleasure having you here to discuss how Scandlines is driving the future of eco-friendly ferry travel.
Thank you.
Today, Michael will provide some expert insights on different topics, and our discussions will shed a light on the innovation driving the ferry sector towards a greener future. I'm Andreas Wenzel, and I will be discussing these interesting topics with Michael over the next 30 minutes. Please feel free to post any questions you have in the chat. We will then address these during our Q&A session towards the end of our webinar. So, Michael, to kick off our discussion, could you walk us through what Scandlines' journey towards zero direct emissions involve, and how does this initiative fit into the broader landscape of sustainable maritime transportation? Michael.
And I only have 30 minutes, you said, right? So,
yes, but try hard.
Yeah, I will. Scandlines has been on a journey towards zero emission, I would like to say, going back to the big initiatives which started in 2013.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we embarked on this voyage was that there was a requirement to reduce the sulfur emissions in the Baltic Sea. Mm-hmm. And as a consequence, we had to look critically at which route to take, so to speak, technically, on particularly the Rødby Puttgarden ferries, in as much as they were at the time burning heavy fuel, which is very polluting. And either you had to go with a very expensive low sulfur fuel, or you had to come up with some innovative ideas. Mm-hmm. The technicians and the very skilled engineers we have in the fleet came up with the idea that rather than putting scrubbers wash the exhaust on all of the generators that are on board such a ferry. Mm-hmm. They just came up with the idea that you could take out one generator and replace it with a battery system. Mm-hmm. The size of the battery system was 1.5 megawatts, which is the equivalent of a lot of Teslas. How big is a car today? 100 kilowatt, I guess. So it would be a lot of those. Yeah. The idea was that the engines would be running at a constant speed, and then whenever the energy from these engines were not used for propulsion, you could store it on a battery, and then we could take it off the battery, similar to the first generation cars without plug-in possibilities. And then after that, we have been going through a lot of different initiatives, both on the human resource side, training of our crew, along with a lot of technical installations, big and small. Mm-hmm. And it all adds up to where we are today, where the ferries we have on Rødby Puttgarden, which were built in 1997, have reduced the CO2 emissions by more than 50%, doing exactly the same as they did back then, meaning they would be in the same schedule at departure from each port every hour, and that is a remarkable feat by all means, the way I see it.
Thank you so much. Interesting to hear. And there's exciting things ahead in terms of hybrid/e-ferries. Could you explain what that means and what's your timeline and how does it look like?
Yeah, we had the opportunity to to order a new ferry, given that we have enjoyed growth on the route, particularly on the freight business. And again, we're talking about Rødby Puttgarden. And so right now we are building a electric ferry in Turkey, which we expect to be delivered towards the end of the year. The ferry has been built as a plug-in electrical ferry, similar to the Teslas I made reference to before. And initially, she will be able to charge via shore power in Rødby only. And then next year, towards the fall of 25, we have also invested in both the infrastructure and a charging tower in Rødby, which will enable us
in Puttgarden.
In Puttgarden, yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we can charge in both ends. Yeah. Exactly. Along with that, we have also the privilege of upgrading 2 of the ferries on Rødby Puttgarden to nearly emission-free ferries, in as much as we are again taking out generators, and then we are replacing them with 5 megawatt batteries, which will enable 80% emission-free crossings with the 2 German ferries, Ferry Deutschland and Ferry Schleswig-Holstein.
Okay, yeah, interesting. And the e-ferry then will actually run completely on power, being able to charge at the receiving ends of each port.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, and how we spoke obviously about Rødby Puttgarden, because there also the distance is very short. How is the vision for Rostock-Gelse? Because obviously the distance is much longer, and I assume that any ferry won't, as of today, and with the technology available today, power, storage capacity, etc., it won't work immediately.
No, the ferries on Gedser Rostock are relatively new. They were built and delivered in 2016, so they are technically advanced ferries. They also have battery systems, sailing as hybrid ferries.
Yeah.
We have installed rotor sails. Yeah. Few people understand how it actually works, but it is a sail. and we have also done other things, replaced some propeller blades. And again, it's all about doing the small things that matter in reducing the energy consumption and the CO2 emissions. The vision for going emission-free on Gedser Rostock is a little more further out in the future with the Puttgarden. We aspire to be direct emission-free by 2030. Yeah. For Gedser Rostock, we are aiming for 2040. And the reason is that the energy requirements for the ferries there are more than 4 times larger than on Rødby. So it's a whole different technical challenge. And a battery solution would not be a good solution given the size of battery that would be required. So we are looking to see what is the best solution for Gedser Rostock.
Yeah. And obviously technology will advance, storage technologies will advance, and then we'll see where we go. But very interesting and a very ambitious transition, so congratulations on that. Were there any specific challenges on that, during that journey you'd like to refer to, or that you overcame? What was the main obstacle on trying to achieve this zero emission vision?
The challenges being that going for zero emission is a very expensive journey, and investing in a sustainable solution does not come cheap. So we have been very reliant on subsidies, both from EU and lately the conversion of our 2 German ferries on Rødby Puttgarden. Fortunately has been supported by the German authorities in as much as we have received 40% subsidies, which is an enabler. Yeah. And this is also the way I see it, the way governments should support the transition, in that some of the charges that are being pushed upon industry, CO2 charges, needs to get back into the industry so that we can drive the sustainability agenda, and that's what the charges are meant for, the way I see it. And we are extremely privileged to receive this support from Germany.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Very interesting. Maybe as a second part of our coffee with today, we'd like to speak about customer experience management aboard and before and after a Scandline ferry. So what are your initiatives to enhancing service quality and at the same time maintaining operational efficiency?
In terms of customer experience, we would like our customers to really enjoy sailing with us. So rather than being pure infrastructure, they are, so to speak, stuck with us for 45 minutes on Rødby Puttgarden and an hour and 45 minutes on Gedser Rostock. We want the time spent on board to be time well spent, meaning it has to be enjoyable. We know that after having sat in a car for a period of time, most people are hungry, and we also would like to present an opportunity to purchase things that you may need on your onwards journey or things that you may need in your household. And we want to do that with a big smile, because we also know for a fact that happy customers are returning customers. So what we are doing right now is we are training all of our staff in making sure that our customers are always met with the highest possible quality, so to make sure they become returning customers.
In terms of before the journey and after the journey, digital solutions, is that anything you are envisioning, anything you're seeing to make it even smoother to go on board and to leave the ferry?
The transformation is not only about your experience on board, it's actually from the moment you decide that I would like to go from somewhere in Sealand to mainland, ideally, let's say Copenhagen to Hamburg. The moment you start looking for options, you should be met with a platform or a homepage that is easy to navigate in, intuitively enabling booking of a ticket at an attractive price which fits your transport demand. Once you get to the port, if you have told us your license plate in the near future, you will be recognized when you arrive at the port. Whereby rather than having to stop the car and wait for the barrier to get up and check in, it's going to be much more smooth, and we will be using new technology. I know license plate recognition has been in place for many years, but we don't only need to recognize the vehicle, we also need to establish how many people are in the car. We also need to make sure that you get into the right lane so that you get on the right ferry, depending on the product that you have purchased. But by enabling a smooth check-in process, we call it the free flow, it's going to be a much more pleasant coming into the ports and much less stress-free. We know that people waiting in queues become stressed, and we want to avoid that.
So actually your digital solution will be able to measure the number of people sitting in the car. So you don't need to pin in how much are you.
No. And it will even be able to tell the difference between a baby and a dog in the back seat if you have babies and dogs in the car as well. That's how sophisticated the equipment is.
How do you measure the success of your initiatives in terms of customer satisfaction? You spoke about returning customers. I assume you're also doing surveys, etc. So what are your indicators in terms of measuring your service quality on the routes?
What we do currently is that we send out questionnaires to those of our customers who have booked a ticket online, and we ask them how their experience was. We don't always send the same questionnaire, so we have a multitude of questions. I think it's 20 to 30 questions. And then customers are given 10 questions, but randomly chosen from this list of questions, depending on the product that they have purchased. And that gives us a good indication on the general mood, so to speak, or the rating given by our customers, which is by far the best measure of whether we are doing things right. And I have to say that we are quite pleased with the scores that we are seeing.
That would have been my next question. Are you right on track in terms of your...
We're going to increase the measuring points by putting on these pads on board of the ship, so that we can measure in individual outlets right as people have used them. Toilets, the restaurants or the shop on board, you'll be able to tell us how you felt about your experience.
Okay.
And it's all about guiding us in providing the best customer experience.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, and again, I would like to invite our audience to ask any questions if they have in our chat functions. First questions are coming in, and indeed, this is quite a long question I need to read through. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Indeed, we will be coming to the point of the Fehmarn Belt in a minute, and then I will also come back to this question which I just read. But obviously, we can't speak about Scandlines, we can't speak about ferry services between Germany and Denmark, the Rødby Puttgarden-Rødby, without mentioning the Fehmarn Belt fixed link, which is supposed to be ready and going by 2029. So how do you see developments, Fehmarn Belt tunnel, influencing the future of ferry services in the Baltic Sea? Given that the tunnel will be sure a significant competitive element, how is Scandlines planning to adapt its services and operation to maintain its role in regional transportation?
We know that the tunnel is coming, and we can see that work is going on day by day. Whether it opens in 29, I dare put up a question about that, but that remains to be seen. Eventually it will be there, and it will become a significant competitor. And what we expect is that a significant part of the current business are actually going to stay with us for the reasons of having a necessary break.
Yeah.
We know that some customers are not too happy about driving through an 18-kilometer tunnel. We can offer them good service. Some customers need a break. Some truck drivers actually need a regulatory required break where we can offer them a hot meal, we can offer them a shower. And we also expect that we will be competitive on the pricing and not least offer them a sustainable ride between Denmark and Germany or vice versa. So we do believe that there are lots of opportunities for us to sustain the business. Maybe not the way we see it today. We believe that it will likely be more freight focused than passenger focused.
Yeah.
But let's see. When we get there, we are confident that there is a bright future for Scandlines also after the tunnel opening. And speaking about development in the areas, I know that's probably high on your agenda, as it is on mine. I enjoy seeing all of the initiatives that we see, particularly on Lolland Falster, on growing businesses to make sure that they are well prepared for the tunnel opening. My message is why wait? Why wait for the tunnel opening?
Yeah.
I think the opportunities are there already. There is a reliable connection at the moment. It's high frequency. So I can't see the difference that the tunnel makes, that you can't harvest good synergies from the existing link.
Yeah, thanks so much. So the message is you're taking up the competition.
Absolutely.
And you're ready for the business even after the opening of the Fehmarn Belt fixed link. Seeing it in a broader regional Baltic Sea context, my first question would be, what would you, or how would you see the Fehmarn Belt fixed link also influencing the Rostock-Gelser route? And then there was a question also coming in from one of our audience here saying, are there any plans to establish a route into Riga, being the go-to place as a sender in the Baltics today and in the future? Is this an option? Is this on your agenda? And are e-hybrid ferries capable of doing these routes?
We are not currently planning on additional routes. Obviously, we are constantly looking to see what would be a bold strategic move that we also could believe could be profitable for our business. But there are no current plans to call Riga or open any alternative routes. The capability of the ferries are capable of going anywhere, but the way they have been designed, they are optimized for the route that they are operating. So the electrical ferry has been designed for Gedser Rostock, for Rødby Puttgarden, and the energy requirement on that route. So to put it onto another route would require a different configuration of the.
Obviously,
of the
Riga is a different,
much
journey.
further away. Yeah.
But in terms of your future business development, so there's an idea coming from
Yes.
our audience to say, why not go further into the Baltics? Coming back to my first question, seeing the Fehmarn Belt fixed link and the future of ferry services on the Rødby Puttgarden line, Rostock-Gelsa, do you see any influence there, any shifts, how do you see it in a broader context?
I believe that it's two different products, in as much as the travel distance from the highway in Denmark to Gedser and Rødby is almost the same in terms of travel time. So they are equally distanced from Copenhagen, if you like. However, the ports in Germany are far apart. So the Rødby so Puttgarden is obviously very close to where the tunnel, it's a few hundred meters from where the tunnel will surface, whereas Rostock is more than 150 kilometers away. And there's a whole different segment of customers choosing to go to destinations that are more east, in an easterly direction, in the eastern part of Europe or to Italy or so. And it actually makes a lot of sense to take a little bit of time in evaluating which is the better option of the two, depending on where's your destination.
Yeah. Also for
vice
cargo,
versa,
obviously.
going into Scandinavia, where do you come from? I mean, and we do not foresee that the tunnel will be a big competitor to Gedser Rostock, and we are quite comfortable with having continued to grow the route in a most profitable way.
Yeah. There's one other question from our viewers today, which I think is very interesting. In terms of TCO, how much more expensive is a sustainable operation, zero emission, we spoke about the e-ferry, compared to fossil? Is there any figures that you could share that gives us an idea of as to what is the price tag on going emission-free?
Yeah, well, rather than talking about the absolute price, I would like to talk about how do they compare, in the sense that at the moment we are running on fossil fuels. There's no plug-in electricity on board of our ferry, so we're doing what is called peak shaving. So the differentiator between an electrical solution and a fuel solution, as we have it right now, is that the price of electricity and the savings on CO2 charges will have to cover the investment in the new equipment. And that's what it's all about. So the moment you are able to attract a little bit of funding, the gap becomes smaller. But attractive electricity prices is a big parameter as well. And as it is right now, the electricity prices in Denmark, or the charges on electricity, are more favorable than the ones in Germany, which is why we opted for a charger in Rødby in the first place. So that also has a role to play. But it's all about the cost of energy, and then how does the charges, CO2 charges, or what do we have, favor on top of that.
Yeah, it comes down to competitiveness again, it comes down obviously also on the Rødby Puttgarden line, as soon as the Fehmarn Belt tunnel is being established, on prices and on pricing of crossing the Fehmarn Belt. Where do you see you there? I mean, obviously we don't know, and this is now looking into a glass ball. We don't know what the price tag will be for crossing the tunnel, the belt via the tunnel. So how do you see competition in terms of pricing? We spoke about comfort, we spoke about needing to make a break, we spoke about having different kind of like necessities or ideas about traveling, but what about competitiveness and the pricing?
The tunnel is supposed to be paid by its users, meaning that the loans that have been given to pay for the tunnel needs to be paid back by the users. And thereby the prices have to be a reflection of what was the cost of doing that. Whereas we are in a position to use, we have set up our loan package in such a way that by the time the tunnel opens, we are actually able to offer a competitive price, meaning that we will likely, not likely, we will always be cheaper than a tunnel.
Okay.
And the tunnel, given that, as far as I understand, it has been financed by state guaranteed loans, they have a fixed payback time, and they can't use those funds for being competitive. But these are some of the issues we have been fighting for in the EU to make sure that we accept that the tunnel is there, but we want to be able to compete on fair terms, so to speak.
Yeah.
And now the latest ruling from EU states that yes, there is a requirement for the tunnel to be fair, in the sense that there are pricing they have to stick to. I'm not an expert on state loans, but I do know that in Scandlines we will make sure it's always a competitive price.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting to hear. And obviously zero emissions and going green is a very important element in that. So we've said that by 2030 we are there for the Rødby Puttgarden, and we are on e-ferries, obviously Rostock-Gelser and any other future business. It's depending also on future technologies. Are you actually looking into hydrogen as a means to drive ferries? I mean, for Rødby Puttgarden, I think power will be the way to go, also for the future. It might be the most efficient and also the most cost efficient. But hydrogen ferries, hydrogen as a mode of driving a ferry, is this something you're looking into?
And we're looking at everything that is being investigated right now. The development of sustainable solutions for the maritime industry is really taking off these days. Everybody has realized that there are sharp deadlines to be met in finding sustainable solutions. So we are looking at a number of things. We're looking at hydrogen, we're looking at methanol, we're looking at fuel cells. So we are not excluding any solution. We are rather trying to see what is the horizon for these different technologies and which one would suit the better our route with the exact energy amount that is required to go from Gedser to Rostock or vice versa. So we have not established which is going to be our preferred. There are a number of options, and as I said before, we are keeping an eye on all sorts of development to see which is the perfect fit for that route.
Yeah. One last question, and indeed a very good one that also I had in my mind. Could you imagine potentially electric cars could charge on board the e-ferries?
Yes, I could easily imagine. I could also easily imagine that we would be able to offer that to the freight customers, which I think would be a strong competitive advantage, in as much as your car is moving 18 kilometers and it takes 45 minutes and you can charge a lot in that period of time. The technical solutions are available, not on our ferries yet, but it can be done. But we have to realize that the battery packages we have designed for these ferries are designed for moving the ship and to supply energy on board. So whenever you are supposed, or if you want to charge a lot of vehicles, you need to get that energy from somewhere. Yeah. So either you put more batteries on, or you find different solutions. It could be biofuel, but there are a number of solutions, and that we are also looking into because we want to add even more value to our customers while they are with us.
This in terms of competitiveness and in terms of
I could easily imagine that charging of your vehicle while on board of a ferry will become a possibility in the future.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a pleasure having you here. We need to wrap up our discussion. We arrived at 9. I'd like to thank you, Mikael Guldmann-Petersen, for your insights, and all of you for participating and enriching our webinar also with your questions. Please join us next week for our monthly Denmark and Germany briefings. And after the summer break, we will be back with a more coffee with sessions, which will then be announced soon. So thank you once again for joining us today. We look forward to welcoming you in the future. Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.